Hello, how are you? Welcome along. I can't see who's all in, but it looks like this is and this is our first time using this team setup. So forgive me if we have any technical hitches as we work this out for the first time, but all seems to be working. You're all here, I am here. My slides are on the screen. Hopefully you can see them too. Maybe someone could confirm that they can see them. I'm just going to open up the chat so I can see that. Hi, Sunita. I can see that you're here. I'm getting some thumbs up that the slides are indeed showing, so that is really good. Now, I shouldn't have to let anyone in the lobby. It should be set to let everyone in, but if it does happen, I'll stop and let them in. So thank you so much for joining me. I am going to start because it's 7 o'clock and loads of you are here. So if you're here, I don't want to make you wait while people are still joining. We can let them all in as we go. So thanks for joining me on your Tuesday evening. I know sometimes this is a busy week because we've had a bank holiday and everyone's trying to squeeze 5 days of work or 7 days of work into 4 days. So thanks for coming along. This session is going to be all about how you can action plan for getting corporate clients. So I'm going to give you a very brief introduction to me. I'm looking at your names. I recognise some of you, don't necessarily know all of you. But welcome, whether you've met me before, whether you haven't, thank you very much for coming along. Who am I? So I'm Carol Devaney. I look a little bit less fancy in real life tonight than this picture because today's kind of been a more low-key day. I've been doing my invoicing, I've been doing follow-ups with corporate clients. I had a briefing with someone that I'm doing a webinar in corporate with tomorrow. And I was sitting earlier thinking, oh, I should really go and put something a bit smarter on for this webinar. And then I thought, I'm all about being authentic and showing you what it's really like to have corporate clients. And actually, it doesn't mean you have to wear a suit every day. In fact, if you don't wear suits, you don't ever have to wear a suit. So I thought, I'm actually just going to come as I am, and you'll see that not every day do you have to have your hair, makeup and a smart outfit. You can wear a very comfortable jumper or sweater if you're from the other side of the pond and be quite relaxed. So today's been quite a catch up with lots of things today for me, but I have had some online meetings with people. So what do? I do a couple of things. I help entrepreneurs like you. Hopefully this is what you're here for, to work with corporate clients by helping you create the strategy, the plan. I support them through implementation, and at times I make introductions. I've been doing quite a lot of that today, actually. It's been quite a flurry of that this morning, of people saying, can you introduce me to this person, and someone also looking for some work, and I just happen to know someone looking for them. The other thing I do is that I run a global consultancy. So we mostly work in the project sphere. So we work with large organisations around the world. We work in 8 countries. We work in 3 continents at the moment, but I'm currently in discussions that might add a 4th continent. So that's quite exciting. Keep you posted on that. I can't say until it comes off or not, but yeah, a 4th continent perhaps about to be added. And we actually have a branch of our company now based in Canada, which is very exciting. I'm also a speaker. I speak at events, conferences, workshops, seminars in the UK and internationally, and I'm the author of 2 best-selling books. And the reason I tell you about the books is because I'll talk about them a little bit in the marketing area, because there's a lot happening around my other book for me at the moment. It's been a great marketing investment. So that's a little bit about me. If you would love to tell me a little about you, you can put that in the chat. You can say who you are, you can tell us where you're from, you can tell us what type of work you do, and I can see that. If you feel like I'm not ready to do that, I want to just sit here and listen, that's fine. You do what you need to do. So briefly, I'm just going to touch on why you might want to sell to corporates before I go on to, and here's how to do it. So let me share a little bit about this for you. So why might you want to sell to corporate companies? Well, one of the reasons that you might want to do it is they've got large budgets. This is a tough economic year for small businesses. There's a strange thing that happens when we're in recession, which is that if you survive and thrive in recession, you tend to do really well. And if you don't, then you don't. Oh, Sunita, you're saying you can't hear me at all. Can other people hear me? Libby, you can hear me. Sneak, I don't know why you can't find me. It might be in your computer settings. If you go to audio, it might be that if you were on Zoom earlier. Thank you, Laura can hear me too. Laura can hear me, yeah. Sometimes when you switch between Zoom and Teams, Sunita, what happens is that for some reason your computer decides, oh, you probably want to hear this from a different source. Completely bizarre. So it might be that your settings changed over to a different audio source. So see if you can switch on that. If you really struggle, you can always try the old come out and come back in again. You should be able to automatically rejoin. Hopefully you can get that fixed, Anita. So yeah, like I was saying, if you can do well and thrive in a recession, you tend to do quite well. If you don't, then it may be that that's a bit of a game changer for you. So definitely tough times. And I hear people telling me all the time, oh, consumers aren't buying, small businesses aren't buying, corporates are still buying. So even if you think, look, I don't always want to be in the corporate world, even if you just think for just now, I just need a bit more certainty and some cash injections, it's a really good way to do that because they're still spending money. Now they have large budgets. They'll always tell you, oh, our budgets are a bit tight. They've always got money to spend, and they will find the money for the things that they want to invest in and they want to spend on. And I worked in corporate environments for 20 plus years. I was in corporate environments, and we get sometimes something called supplier fatigue, which is basically where you just get kind of bored of buying the same old stuff from the same suppliers. So they're always looking for new people, but they won't always come looking for you. You have to go looking for them and be like, hey, I offer that thing you want, and I'm new and fresh. New is the biggest word in marketing, remember? And if I remember, I'll tell you a story about why that is at the end when we talk about marketing. So I work a lot predominantly in English speaking markets because it's pretty much the only language that I can work in. I can communicate in some other languages, but I work in a very technical field and I cannot do that in anything but my own language. And I always take my hat off because I work with a lot of people doing it in second and third languages. But in the English speaking world, certainly, where we work in a lot of government environments, most of those government organisations actually have a policy that they have to include small and medium sized businesses in their supply chain. Now, when I worked in corporate, my target from government, because I worked for a government funded agency, was we were supposed to spend £1 in every three with small and medium sized businesses. Now, I hear that the Cabinet Office in the UK are going to change that to £2 and five. So they're making it more money should be coming to us, folks, which, I support that. I love they're doing it. I find it a little bit laughable though, because no one ever hits the £1 and three. We are not great at doing that. Um, we've just not been hitting that. And in the US and Canada, where they have similar targets, and actually Australia as well, no one is hitting those targets. Everyone is missing them, and everyone wants to do better at it. Oh, I'm sorry, Sunita, that she has to leave because she can't hear. Yeah, I probably speak a bit fast for lip reading. I'm Glaswegian. I'll make sure she gets the replay. And the reason I say that this happens in English speaking countries is that's where I work. I know there are lots of other countries where that's also the policy. And the reason that they have this policy is what they know is it makes good economic sense. When governments spend money with small businesses, they know it comes back into the economy. Now, and I say this all the time to small businesses, I'm doing okay. I don't know about you, but I do not have offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands. And even when I end up doing more than okay, I'm still not going to offshore my money at the Cayman Islands. What we tend to do as small businesses when we make money is we grow our businesses, we hire more people, we pay our taxes, we invest in ourselves, we invest in our business. Hey, we're entrepreneurs, so we start another 5 businesses at the weekend. So all of those things keep the money flowing in the economy. We tend not to just send it somewhere offshore or invest it in yachts. So they know that actually when you spend money with small businesses, it does one of two things. The first is it creates this economic regeneration of the money, which also creates more jobs. The second is it makes good business sense because we are more creative, we are quicker with new ideas, and also they're able to then go out and say, hey, look what good guys we are, look what good folks we are. We invest in small businesses because culturally people love to see that. Now, there are some changes coming in the UK this year in September. I am super excited to see what a difference they're going to make, because the changes are around procurement rules to help make it even easier to get that money into our pockets as small businesses. It's all about making it easier for us to trade with these large corporate organisations and government organisations. Where governments go, big businesses quite often follow policy-wise, so you will find hundreds upon hundreds of large corporate companies who also have targets to work with small businesses. Anywhere that you want to work, there will be a large number of corporates who have got a policy that they want to work with you. So why might you want to work with corporates? Because they actually already want you. And that's a big doubt that I think small businesses have, is like, oh, do they really want me? Oh my goodness, yes, they do. I'll be drinking some water as we go, because it's important to stay hydrated, and I've been talking a lot today. So what is in it for you? Let me tell you this, repeat business. We've just signed a contract with a corporate client today. It's probably our, I don't know, 15th contract with them, maybe more. At times we've worked with them on 1 day pieces of work. At one point, I probably had an assignment that was a year and a half long, a couple of days a week on and off for a year and a half. They just keep coming back to us because they know what we can deliver now. And now they've started to come to us and say, can you also do this thing? So some of the things that we don't normally market, they've started to ask us for because they know we'll deliver. We've got a good relationship. We're on the supplier list. So once you get in there, you will get repeat business. Every single one of our corporate clients, it is my mission for them to be a repeat client, and it's worked with every single one so far. They will recommend you to other corporates. Now, we have got a couple of clients who are a bit sneaky, who don't like to recommend us because they told us this recently. They're like, well, we don't want you to be so busy, you don't come and work with us, which was a little bit cheeky. It's like, you can't just be monopolising me. But I think they were saying it in good fun. Mostly though, corporates will recommend you to other people. I was saying at the start of this, like I've done quite a lot of introducing people today. That's from corporates and other people who work in the corporate sector, both contacting me to say, do you know someone who does? Because within that corporate circle, everyone's recommending to each other. They also buy in bulk. You know, when I used to be a head of profession at a large corporate, when I would go out to the market and buy training, I wasn't buying like one training course. So if any of you work in training or coaching or anything that's like a personal service or a professional development space, I would not go out and buy one training course for one person unless it was like £40,000 investment in somebody. When it was more generic stuff, I would be going out and buying for 50 people, 100 people, 300 people. Sometimes I would team up with another head of profession and we'd be buying for thousands of people at a time. So they will buy from you in bulk, and that's a great thing to be able to do, because you're making one sale, but you might be selling multiple places or multiple spaces or multiple services. You'll get a higher price per session. For business to business, so they expect you to price appropriately and you want to be at the market rate. They also pay your bills. I was talking live on Facebook about this because I was doing all of our invoicing this morning, and it's a bit of a self-indulgence that I still do the corporate invoicing. Okay, that's something that could be done by someone else. I'm a good outsourcer and I'm a good delegator, but there's just a little bit of my soul that loves to send the invoices to my corporate clients. It just nourishes me in a strangely monetary way. I am actually a numbers person, so I quite like it. It doesn't take loads of time because we tend to have those bulk orders rather than lots of individual ones. And I was looking at the two clients that were on my first two invoices, and I looked and thought, oh, they'll both have paid by this time next month. So I went onto Facebook and I was just having a bit of not a rant really. I don't really rant, not a ranter. I was having a bit of a chat to say, you know, small businesses ask me all the time, do corporates pay their bills? Yes, they do. You might occasionally send a reminder, but the only people that we ever have to invoke some sort of credit control with are small businesses. Small businesses are the only people who ever ghost us, default with no intent to pay, or end up with us having to take some sort of credit recovery arrangement. Our corporate clients pay us all the time. I'm going to quickly just go through the last few. You get to collaborate on bigger contracts. You can have all sorts of interesting opportunities, and those are relative to what you want to do. So I love to travel, and I love to work on major projects that are quite exciting, and public transport, things like that. So I look for the opportunities that provide what I need. You might actually think, well, I don't want to travel. I want to stay at home. I've got responsibilities, or actually, I just like being cozy in my house with a blanket. That's fine. So you would look for the opportunities that are the things that are of interest to you. You can break that feast and famine cycle, having a number of corporate clients, and then you get all the lifestyle benefits as well. So if you want these, what is the action plan? Let's break it down. Here are the 6 things that I think you need. You need a strategy, a plan, and a tactical execution of the actions in that plan. So you've got to do the work. That's what that means. Tactical execution of actions means do the work. 3 clear offers that you can explain the benefits of to a corporate audience. You need to show the return on investment that you'll generate for the business. You need to know the best route to get in front of corporate clients. You need a consistent marketing and sales plan, and you need to be your authentic, brilliant self. And I'm going to now talk to you about what each one of those means. So I can see there's some of my clients in here who've been on my programme or have worked with me one-to-one. And I think there's loads of people who haven't worked with me before. If you've worked with me before, this will be familiar. So I tell people this all the time. When you start with a strategy, we're going to go forward to 3 years in time. In 3 years' time, what do you want your business to look like? So some of you might already have a business, you might sell to consumers, small businesses, maybe a little bit to corporates, but move forward 3 years in time, or however far in the future it's comfortable for you to think of. I like a 3-year horizon. That works well for me as a project person. So move forward as far in time as you're comfortable going, 3 years if you can, and think about what does your ideal business look like? How much money are you making from consumers, from small businesses, from corporates? Think about what that number is. Think about how much time you're spending on it. And what I want you to factor in is that corporates will generally be paying you a higher level of income. So they'll generally be paying more for your service. So think about what that looks like. Now, you might only want to have corporate clients in the future. If you want to do that, that's fine. That's how my business ran for quite a long time. And now I've got a division of, I probably spend 3/4 of my time with corporate clients and 1/4 of my time with small business clients. So you get to divide it up any way that works for you. Work out the numbers in that, work out how much you want to be working. If you want to work a 40-week year, if you want to work a 12-week year, if you want to work a 52-week year, please do not do that. It's exhausting and not good for your health. Then you work out what that looks like and then work back from. And when you work back from there, think about how much time you're going to spend delivering work, how much time you're going to spend getting work. And at the beginning, it's going to take you a bit of time to get some corporate clients if you're starting from nothing. Once you've got some, it will take you less time. So you want to start to factor that in. So I then start to break my plan into, by each year. So by year 3, I expect to be doing something like 80% delivering work, 20% admin and bringing work in. That's the kind of, mix I would look at. For the year before that, it's probably a 60-40 split. Year 1, you're probably going to spend 80% of your time getting work and 20% delivering it, at least for the first maybe 3 months if you're starting with nothing. And then that's going to taper off. Start to look at then for that whole plan, what you're going to do by week and by day. And then what I do is I schedule it all into my diary. So I can already tell you for next year what days I'll be doing business development. So quite often people will be like, oh, hey, have you got time next week in your diary? Very unlikely. If I've got time next week in my diary, it's probably scheduled for existing clients or for something else that I've just had to create some space for, because I book my schedule out basically a quarter at a time so that I don't forget to follow up with clients. I don't forget to do my marketing. I don't forget to make sure that where I want to be doing corporate work or small business work, there's got to be something coming in for that. I've got to make sure that's booked in. And then once I know what all my actions are, And I've got something coming up at the end that will help you figure out those actions, and something coming up next week as well. Then I put all those actions into that plan. Schedule them or plan them, whatever works for you in terms of execution. And here's what I would say. Sometimes people start off with good intent, and when they don't take the first actions in their plan to get started, they feel like they're behind. You're not behind. In projects, we just call that project schedule slippage, and we just move everything. So all you do is don't try and catch up, just move the schedule. If you started later, you finish later. That's life. So that's the kind of overall big picture I wanted to give you. Those are the three things. If you're trying to do it without that strategy, without a plan, and without an understanding of the tactical actions, that's why it's not working for you. If you're just, putting out a post every now and then on LinkedIn or making a phone call, you need this plan. This is what makes it easy, and this is what makes you have a flowing pipeline of work rather than just be a hamster on a wheel. Be a hamster on a wheel if it works for you. It doesn't work for me. I don't like that kind of energy. So the next thing that I mentioned you need 3 offers. And this is what people sometimes get a little bit stuck on, is what should I offer? It is no use going to the corporate market and telling them what your skills are and what you can do. You have to package that up into an actual offer for them. Like when I worked in corporate, if someone phoned me up and was like, hey, I'm a leadership coach, I've got all of these qualifications, if they just told me a big story of things they can do, I would kind of be thinking, what do you want me to do with that information? Like what I need you to come and say is, here's what I offer for you and here's how you buy it. Like it's got to be packaged up. And you want 3 offers. So you want like a taster offer. When someone's not worked with you before, they want to buy something that is kind of small in value, maybe a workshop, maybe a webinar, maybe one day of work with you, maybe one strategic piece or one piece of consultancy that kind of gives them that chance to try it out and see what your standard of work is. Then you basically want the next offer, which is the main thing that you do. And this is talking about from the beginning. If you're just starting to get into this kind of work, what is the main thing that you want to sell? Now, whatever your main offer is, has to have some key features. You have to be able to explain the benefits of it. You have to be able to explain how you deliver it. You have to make sure it is profitable for you. You do not want to be a busy fool that is out there getting loads of work and not making any money. This should be profitable work, and you need a good margin on your corporate work. So have a think about that. And then you need like a big audacious offer. Like what is the thing that when someone buys it, you'll be like, oh my goodness, I cannot believe they went for that. So you need that kind of package. Now I've probably got 5 years in now, we've probably got 5 taster offers, maybe 10 main offers, we've got 2 big audacious offers. So we've developed them over time, but in the beginning, you just need one of each. And if your audacious offer doesn't scare you, it's not audacious enough. So start with developing up what you think these would be. And you're welcome to put comments in the chat if you want. If you wanted to say what you think they might be and you want me to give you some feedback while I'm on, I can certainly do that. Obviously, I will not share your information outside of this forum, so feel free to be open about that. So I said in the last slide that you need to be able to explain what the benefits are. And here is where I see people fall into a trap, especially if you work selling to consumers or other small businesses. You have probably honed all of your marketing around telling people the benefits to them of what you offer. So if you were coming to sell to me as a small business, you're probably going to be talking directly to the pain points that I feel as an individual. Hopefully, you're going to spot that I am not motivated by pain. I am motivated by success. So actually, you're going to sell me the dream. I say this at home all the time. My husband's a detail person, and he is more of a respond to the pain points than the big dream. And sometimes he starts to tell me the problem, and I know he's pitching me something that we should do or we should buy. And I sometimes have to remind him, hey, sell me the dream. Like you're going to have to give me the dream if you want me to like buy into this. So you want to figure out what your buyer psychology is at that level. So hopefully if you're selling to me, you're going to figure out I'm motivated by success and you're going to sell me the benefits of that success. Now, that's completely different when you are selling to corporates because you're not just selling them the individual solutions. You've got to tell them, what does this do for their company? Now, whether their company is in the private sector or the public sector, it's going to do one of a number of things. And I've just put some examples here to get started. It's going to increase their profits. Now, how's it going to maybe do that? Might reduce absenteeism. If you're anywhere in the wellbeing, leadership, training or employee engagement space or employee welfare or coaching, you should be able to draw a line between the work you do and reduced absenteeism in the workplace. Less people off sick, less sick pay, increases profits. If you were in the public sector, then reduced absenteeism makes them more productive. It helps them increase retention and reduce it and attract people who want to work with them. People don't want to work somewhere where the turnover of staff is high. It is a red flag. It may be that you solve a particular issue. So the work that I do is mostly with corporate clients is around consultancy. So I go in and offer a specialist service that they don't want to own in-house because they don't need it all of the time. So that might be what you offer. It might increase employee engagement. So I've worked with a lot of people who do like workshops type things, all types of different workshop type things for basically engaging employees. So team building, it could be that they have different training that they add that onto, or they just go in and deliver that standalone. So corporate environments understand that, you know, when you've got increased engagement from staff, you make more money. You've got if you've got a safety critical environment, these are safer environments, staff are more productive. So you want to really start to think about these business benefits. How does what you do like hit one of the things on this list, or look at what the other benefits are? I'm going to pause and read Sharon's message and we'll respond to that. So Sharon's question is, how do you get government contracts when what you offer doesn't necessarily fall within the boundaries of their contracting platforms? Would you list the 3 offers in your brochure? Okay, great question, Sharon. So for government contracts, we work a lot on government contracts. A lot of my clients are either government agencies or ministers of state. And what we tend to do is we've got 2 ways that we get government clients. One is that I team with bigger organisations. So I didn't do this in the beginning. We do more and more of it now. And in Canada and North America, we've actually got an exclusive partnership, because when it's a big bid, so when it's kind of over a couple 100,000, I don't want to write the bids for those on my own. It's time consuming. I don't love it. It's pretty formulaic work, and I'm not actually great at being bored. I'm not neurodivergent, I have to say, but I have a similar trait to people with ADHD of a very low boredom threshold. But it is a choice, not a neurodivergence. So I don't particularly love to write massive bids. So if I see something exciting, I will team up with someone else. But a lot of the work I do is quite niche. So what I do instead is I aim to come in under their threshold for single tender actions, and I will go and approach people who I think need my service. I'll identify what it is, try and either get a meeting with them or a call or an introduction, and then I will propose to them, look, this is what I offer, and I think it'd be really good for your organisation for this reason. And I think for the work that you do, Sharon, that's probably a good approach for you. So it's going to be a combination of the sales and marketing of getting people interested so that they actually either put it into procurement, or that you get into a conversation with them where you bring a proposal to them and they're actually able to give you a single tender action on it. And the threshold for that at the moment is about 70,000 for central government. I can't remember what it is for local government. It might be 45 or 48,000. So you can, you know, these are big contracts if you're not a sole trader, a limited company or a sole trader. But if you're a small business, you know, you only need a few contracts at 70,000 a year before you're having a pretty good year. Would I list my 3 offers in the brochure? Sometimes I would list the 3 offers in the brochure. It depends on who I'm sending it to. So it would just depend. As long as they're not wildly different. I have 2 different types of service for corporates, so I wouldn't like mix and match them, but I would put 3, say, for one side of the business and 3 for another together. So if there's like a cohesive narrative that they share, then yeah, that's fine. But don't put 3 completely different things in, because you don't want to be like, what does this person do? And I'll talk a little bit about that in the marketing and sales. Okay, sorry, I'm just moving around the arm. I've got the camera on to read the next question. You're thinking of using Daniel Priestley's scorecard app as part of your marketing. Will it work for B2B or just B2C? So we trialed it before for B2B with a corporate audience. I found it a little bit mixed, if I'm honest, but that's probably because we got a lot of people who were looking for an individual service from me, and they were people in the profession that we work with, and I didn't have anything for them because I really sell to their employers rather than to them. So it was good for engagement. It was good for getting connections on LinkedIn. It didn't massively really bring me an awful lot of extra business. However, we've just switched it back on because I now do have something for individuals, and we are just waiting on it getting its accreditation, and we'll launch it as a product, and that's when I'll try Daniel Priestley scorecard again. So I shall let you know the results when I find that. We certainly use it for small businesses at the moment, and it's working pretty well. I'm quite happy with it. So I shall keep you posted on how it works. But I don't think it's necessarily great for landing a big corporate client. The kind of people we're working with who buy from us probably tend not to fill out quizzes, I would say. Okay, Vanessa. Hi, Vanessa. I just realised who it is. You think, Vanessa's saying, I think corporate would fear vision boards, but the corporate I have worked for, the mentorship program staff felt more clarity and inspired. My taster would be 1.5 hours. Could be a taster of this. Yeah, absolutely. I think they would be quite into vision boards. They're always scared of creative people anyway. You all small businesses are always a bit scared of corporate. You've no idea how terrified people that have been years in a corporate environment are of entrepreneurial spirit and creative. They've got like a voyeuristic temptation to work with you. They're like, these people could do anything at any point. They're starting businesses all over the place. So actually they're a little bit scared of you because they're used to being in quite a homogenous, controlled environment. But I think I think they would really enjoy it because that, like the strategic thinking and the big picture, stuff and vision, all of that is very much in that corporate space of having, like driving your vision. And that would be really good, see, for employee engagement. I used to work in a team where I was in a corporate environment. I wasn't the manager. Our manager had, I think she had like the second top score for employee engagement in the whole company. And this company was about 40 odd thousand people. So every year when we got the high scores again, she would take us all somewhere for a treat and take us to get, remain engaged basically. And that's the kind of thing that I would see her buying for something like that, where we would go and do that, because she very much understood that people were in a good place when they could sort of have a vision for their work, autonomy over their work, and felt they had control on their life as well. So yeah, that would be great. And a 1.5 hour taster of that would be really good. I'm actually just creating a new vision board for myself at the moment. I was just getting some pages out of Homes Scotland because I have to get a house soon to live in. I do live in a house, obviously. I'm not just wandering the streets, like going into people's homes. I do actually have a house, but it's a rental and I have to buy something soon. So I'm getting a little vision board going, Vanessa. Maybe I've been a little bit inspired by the vision board people around me. So Vanessa is saying, is HR departments your approach for wellbeing or for staff? I would say yes, you do want to approach HR, but I would also go direct to managers. So HR will quite often organise things like that for managers, but a lot of the time you want you want both basically. So you want individual managers being like, hey, I want that for my team, I'll bring it in, or I'll tell HR to do it. So yeah, definitely have both. All right, let's look at, and that question leads us nicely onto this. The next piece you need in your action plan is how to find clients. You've got to figure out what your best route to get in front of corporate clients is, and it's not the same for everyone. If you are really engaging in person, then 100% your best conversion will be meeting people in person. That's a really good conversion. If you're like, actually, the thought of leaving my house and meeting people is my worst nightmare, absolutely horrible at the thought of doing it, and actually I'm really good at writing things down and explaining myself in writing, then you're going to go for a bidding strategy. So you're going to look at companies that put, tenders out to the market and say, hey, write down why you're the best person to win this work. And that's how you're going to win work. And there are certain industries that fit better into one or the other. If you've got a very niche business, that is not currently in corporate. No one's putting a bid out into the market. So even if you don't love being with people, you're going to have to work on that, or you're going to have to hire a business development or salesperson, because you're going to have to take your idea into the corporate market. And that's a really good way of getting into the corporate market. If what you've got is novel, yeah, you've got some work to do, but they all want to be the first person to book you and be like, oh, yeah, we were the first people. You know, like people who, you know, those people who are like any band that becomes famous, they're like, oh, I knew them when they like, you know, they were on a tape getting passed around and no one had heard them. You're like, oh, so you did. You've heard of every band before anyone else. That's kind of how they get with something a bit novel. So you're going to want to figure out what the best way to get in front of your corporate clients are. And that's why I really advise that people choose who they want to work with, because who you want to work with will be in a different place. They will recruit suppliers in a different way. So you want to figure out, are you going to be writing bids? Do you want to be getting meetings with them? Are you going to ask people for introductions? Are you going to do some supplier development programs where they literally teach you how to work with them? And there are loads of those as well. So you're going to want to figure out that. That's the next part of your puzzle. And then you need an annual marketing and sales plan. And I kind of recommend that you divide this into 4 and look at, over the course of the year, bring out 4 things. 4 things makes it easy for yourself if you're starting up getting corporate clients. We generally stick with 4 things that we will sort of publicly launch. It doesn't mean I'm not selling all my other services to my corporate clients all year round. You know, just over here is my whiteboard, and on here is the list of consultant clients, training clients. They're all written up, and I've written next to them for each of them what I'm trying to sell them next. It's also on a spreadsheet, but I like it on the whiteboard too. It's on a spreadsheet in a bit more detail, follow-up dates and all of that. You know, it's a proper data set, whereas this is like my kind of vision piece. That's kind of how my business is ticking over all the time. But if you look on LinkedIn, I'm probably going to promote 4 things across the course of the year, maybe 5, maybe 6 if I got lively one year. But I like to make my life run as smoothly as possible. So I look at, for each quarter of the year, what's the thing we're going to be promoting on LinkedIn that we're going to launch? And it might, I say launch, could be something we've been selling from the beginning, but we're going to put that out there. We're going to market that, we're going to sell that, we're going to create some attention around that, and everything that we're going to be talking about for those sort of 6 to 12 weeks, depending how many campaigns we're running, is going to be around that. And I'm going to be speaking to my ideal clients. So you are welcome to tag me on things on LinkedIn. You're welcome to invite me to things, to connect with me. You're probably going to see most of my LinkedIn material at the moment all talks to my corporate clients, because that's my main forum for that kind of marketing. And that's the online marketing. The other part of my marketing is offline. Who am I phoning? Who am I sending emails to? How am I letting each of those clients know what capacity I've got? How am I letting them know what is on sale at the moment? So all of that is part of my annual marketing and sales plan, as well as, I can't show you the numbers up here because that's a little bit commercially confidential. It's got some rates on it that I'm not allowed to share. But what I've got on the other part of the whiteboard is what I want to sell. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I've got 13 things, 14 things that I want to sell this year. And next to them is the number of them that I want to sell. Some of them are small businesses, some of them are my corporate audience. And then by quarter, we break that down. Now, for the first quarter of this year, some of them had a 0 next to them because we just weren't marketing them. They're for later this year. So that's how we're tracking that by quarter. You want to use LinkedIn for corporate clients. It is a free tool. It is an amazing resource. I think Sam Labanzu, if you don't know Sam Labanzu, you should look her up. She's an absolutely amazing woman. She was like global head of HR at Barclays, the banking company. That might not be the exact title, but she's pretty much global HR for Barclays. She is a LinkedIn expert. She's got a book coming out, I think this week or next week. She's so good on LinkedIn, knows loads about it. And I think she put out a statistic recently that said something like 80% of business-to-business sales are made through LinkedIn. It's like, that's astounding. So get yourself on LinkedIn. You know, it's the only social media platform that you get to curate your own audience. That's that is gold. You don't need to be on the paid version. We're trialing the paid version at the moment because I mentioned we've got this new product we're launching to our corporate audience, which is a online training course for them. We do some online training already, but we sell that in bulk. This is going direct to them. So we're trialing some of the paid features on LinkedIn, but most of the time we're on the free account, and I had that for years. So get that free account, get it set up, look up how to do it properly. Forget everyone who's set theirs up as an employee. You're using yours as your shop window. So put on what your offers are, talk about them, get yourself out there. The easiest form of social media to manage. 3 posts a week will get you a pretty decent and pretty consistent network eventually. Send people connection requests, all of that stuff. So use LinkedIn, great tool. Be creative. Don't be afraid to be a bit creative in your marketing and sales. I put this picture here because this is a book that I wrote. So I mentioned at the beginning, I've written 2 books. Writing a book is a great marketing tool for any type of business. It has been really good for my small business. Too many words. Too many times I'm saying the word business in a sentence there. It's been good for my small business piece. It has been astronomical for my corporate business because, so I've got a copy here and you can probably see a little yellow sticker on it and it says on here, content copy. If I am running out of material or anything for LinkedIn and just like, what have I already written? And there I go. And I've had so many great opportunities that have all been around marketing that have come from writing the book. So people have come to me who are in my corporate audience and said, hey, I'd love you to come and speak on our podcast. We've had organisations say, would you run a book club for our team? So they've basically bought a book for everyone and then had me go along and do a talk on it. That is like absolute marketing gold to be in a company. We had a corporate client who bought 100 copies and gave them to all the people in their organisation. So it has been a really, really good resource if you're thinking about writing a business book for your corporate audience. Even if you just want to do like an e-guide to get started, really good way to put yourself out there. If you move in a lot of small business circles, you get used to people doing like massive audacious things. People being like, oh yeah, I've written books. I'm a Sunday Times bestseller. I've started 15 businesses. I've made, all sorts of money. We kind of almost normalise like exceptionalism in the small business community. When you work in corporate, not many people are just going around writing books, starting businesses, doing their own podcasts. So don't underestimate the value of these kind of tools. And when I say be creative, that's because there are sometimes some limits around what you can do in terms of marketing to corporates. So a lot of my clients, because they work in the public sector, I cannot take them out for champagne lunches. I cannot invite them to the tennis or the golf. Now, private clients, I can do that. And my private clients and be like, hey, let's go to this place, as long as they don't work in banking, because that's completely forbidden. And we can socialise together. I have to be much more creative when it comes to the public sector because they're generally not allowed to accept gifts. They aren't allowed any hospitality. So I will find a way every year of basically having an event that is some sort of learning or training event, but basically that I can bring everyone I want to work with and everyone who knows people I want to work with into one room, give them something to eat, give them some wine if they drink, give them, proper catering that meets everyone's needs, introduce them all to each other. And a lot of the time I'll be introducing other people to each other. I'm never precious about the work. Like if someone else gets work at an event, great, rising tides lifts all boats. And having some of that creativity then kind of flows into some of your content marketing as well, about how you put things out, that entrepreneurial spirit. We've got the edge over big corporate companies. Imagine how many loopholes some of these big companies have to go through before they sign off any ad campaigns. They've got the budget, but we've got the quickness to market. I could have an idea tonight, maybe not. Maybe I'll wait till tomorrow. I think I'm done with ideas for today because I've had a really good idea that's going to take a lot of work to do earlier today in a discussion. So no more ideas for today. Tomorrow I have an idea that can be on LinkedIn in the afternoon. I could have, if I wanted it to be on a radio or press advert, it could be done by the following day. So we can be really creative in what we come up with as opportunities and ideas and how we market ourselves, but we can also be really quick to get that out there. And what I want to tell you is that consistency over constancy will really work. I occasionally see people on LinkedIn and they'll tell me that they've put something out there lots and lots of times, and I think I'm on LinkedIn pretty much every day at some point. I've never seen it, and we're connected. And I'll go on and I look up and I see they've got 2 posts. And I'm like, well, that's not great. But also the 2 posts are talking about 2 completely different things. People have to see the consistency of what it is you offer. And that means you have to talk about it from different angles, from different perspectives. You don't have to be on 7 days a week. Like that's for no one. But you do have to talk about some consistent messaging. And I'm also going to talk about something that links to my final point. You have to be consistently you. Like if every time I look on LinkedIn, I feel like there's a different version of you, I feel like you're marketing something to me, but I don't feel you're marketing you. And I'm just going to move on to that because marketing you is the strength that you have as a small business. Big corporate organizations can't market themselves as individuals. So they'll have a brand personality, a brand persona, and they're speaking to demographics divided up in different ways. We actually get to speak like from our personalities, and that gives us the chance to stand out. We don't want to blend in. That's for corporate businesses. Corporate businesses are there to blend in. We are there to stand out because that's how people are going to know us, remember us, and buy from us. So in that consistency, I want you to think about just being consistently you all of the time. Now, that does not mean you have to overshare. We do not want anybody having big vulnerability hangovers, but just let your personality and your strengths shine through. Because if someone's looking thinking they're not the person for us, that's okay. There's hundreds of others, thousands of other corporate clients. You're not going to adapt yourself for who they want to work with. And I don't mind sharing with you something that I say quite often to corporate clients. And I had a very tense meeting a few weeks ago where I thought I'm going to have to tell one of our key partners this piece of information, and I don't know how they're going to respond, but I'm prepared for the consequences, but I'm going to have to tell them. And that is that, so my personal values are that I don't work with anyone who manufactures arms, and I don't do any defence work. Now, I don't offer any judgment to anyone else who does. There are people who are associates that I know who do it. That's fine, because if that sits with their values, that's fine, but it doesn't sit with mine. It doesn't motivate me, and I love to do work that I love. That's what really works for me. I'm highly motivated doing work I care about. So I've been in this partnership for a long time with this other organisation, and I knew we were going to be talking about a big piece of work. We're probably deepening our partnership in a particular area, and I knew, well, I have to make sure that they know that this is not on the table for me. So I kind of thought, okay, we were talking about like our red lines in business, what's commercially acceptable, what we're going to put in the contracts. And I said, well, I have to put in something that is important to me, because you folks are great, but if you all disappear tomorrow, I don't want to be tied into doing any defence work or any weapons work. And they all were like, oh, great. Us neither. We're happy to put that in. Like, we don't do any of that work. We just don't talk about it publicly. So people in the beginning told me not to say that. People like, if you work on projects, you can't say you don't do defence work. You've got friends who work in these organisations. I'm like, that's fine. There's people who don't do all sorts of work, but because it's a little bit emotive, people thought I shouldn't say it. I'm at the stage of my life, I'm like, I'm just going to be who I am. And if people don't like it, there's other people they can work with, and there's other people I can work with. So that is what I really want to get across to you to finish on tonight, is that you don't have to change or morph yourself into anything or anyone else to go out and do this work. So when I'm saying put yourself out there, talk about your company, talk about you, talk about what you offer, you can do that in a way that's really true to you. You don't have to expose anything private or personal. I have parts of my life that I don't talk about. There are people in my life who don't, aren't on social media. They don't want everything out there. They're quite private about stuff happening to them. That's okay. If there are things that are about me, I get to make the choice over them. So that's what I want to finish on. So those 6 key pieces that you want to think about, I'm just going to take you back to that slide. You need a strategy, a plan, and you need to get the work done. 3 clear offers that explain the benefits to a corporate audience. Show the return on investment you get, and that's those benefits. Figure out the best route to get in front of corporate clients. get yourself a consistent marketing and sales plan, and then just be your authentic, brilliant self. Those are my strategies for success for you. Now, what have I got to help you? I've got a little free resource for you that I will copy. I won't copy and paste it into the chat because it is not going to let me do that. Let me see if I can find it here. So this little free resource will tell you how to get started. It's a workbook. It's, oops, let's do that. It's a workbook that you can download that will get you started on figuring out like what clients should they be, what might your route to market be, and there's a link to a free webinar as well that's recorded, because you can watch the webinar and do the workbook together, and you can do it in whatever sequence that you like. And next week I'll be starting opening the doors to my challenge that I run every year, and my challenge will run we'll open the doors next week. It will run 2 weeks after that for 4 days, where I'll tell you how to figure out what clients you should work with, what you should be offering to them if you're like, oh, I've got ideas, but I'm not sure. I'll then be telling you how to get out of your own head and out of your own way if that ever happens to you. And then on the final day of that, what I'll do is tell you how to validate your offers so that you know exactly how you should be packaging up what you do to sell. And I'll also tell you if it's likely, I'll show you how to validate if what you've got is something that a corporate audience would buy, because that's probably the third most asked question is, would they buy this? And I can show you how to check that and validate it. So I'll be doing all of that. So please do come along and join me. I can tell you that some people do the challenge and they do the challenge and they win work just as a result of doing the challenge. At the end of it, I'll be opening the doors for the last time to my training program, which I've run, I guess I've run it twice before. We've had a lot of people win a lot of work from it. So I will be opening the doors to that for the very last time. But the challenge is, and that's obviously a paid service, the challenge is completely free. My download and webinar are free. So there's lots there to get you started. So yeah, crack on with that in the meantime. And oh, Libby's saying excited for the challenge. Me too. I'm looking forward to it. There's a lot of new stuff this year because the procurement rules are changing. And also we've got some new tools this year that we have created because we've been working with, I guess we've worked with hundreds now of small businesses, helping them do this work. So I've built some new tools to make it easier for people. So I am very excited for the challenge. Last year it was super exciting. People were winning work in the middle of the week because they sometimes already kind of knew they should do it and they just needed like the final piece of information. And some people were like, oh yeah, I just need to put myself out there. So that's always great fun. But wherever you are, even if you're like, oh, this is just an idea at the moment, or if you're like, I'm on the verge of doing it, then that's fine, come along. So Sharon is saying, thank you. Thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed it. I have loved talking to you, and I'm just waiting to see. I can see another couple of messages. I'm like, oh, I'm so nosy. I like to call it insatiable curiosity. I think it's an asset in the corporate world. I'm like, I bring insatiable curiosity to your workplace. That just means I'm nosy. So thank you all so much. There's a replay of this and it will go out on email to you all soon. And have a lovely rest of your evening. And thanks so much for joining me. See you later, folks.